I'd been renting this apartment for 3 years and never missed a single payment. Last week, I paid the $800 annual heating fee. The landlord couldn't stop grinning. The next day, he sent me a text, "You have 7 days to move out. My son needs the place for his wedding." I told him we still had 6 months left on the lease. He shot back, "Go ahead and sue me. You can't afford the hassle anyway." I didn't argue. I didn't cause a scene. I just quietly started packing. On moving day, my landlord showed up with a bag of fruit, a wide smile plastered on his face. "Hey kid, take your time. No rush." The moment he pushed the door open, he froze. The apartment was a hollow shell, as clean and bare as if no one had ever lived there at all. After 3 years in this concrete box, I had started to think of it as a home. The pothose on the windowsill, which I bought the day I moved in, now had vines cascading down half the wall. The laminate flooring in the living room, which I'd spent a month's salary on because I couldn't stand the cold concrete, warmed the space. The integrated kitchen cabinets, the heated toilet seat in the bathroom, I'd added them all, piece by piece. I wasn't just renting a space, I was building a life. My landlord, Mr. Finch, was a man in his 50s with thinning hair, puffy bags under his eyes, and a perpetual, calculating glint in his gaze. On the 25th of every month, his text message demanding rent would arrive with the punctuality of an alarm clock. Even though I'd never been a day late. "Brian, time to pay this month's rent." It was always followed by a grinning emoji that made my stomach turn. Today, he was back. "Brian, it's getting cold. Time to pay the annual heating fee, don't you think?" He attached a screenshot of the weather forecast, showing a cold front was due to hit next week. The building had independent heating, and the landlord collected the fee up front to pay the utility company. $800 a year. It wasn't a small amount. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. The price was nearly double that of similar buildings in the area, a blatant ripoff. But it was written in black and white in the lease I'd signed, so I had no choice. I transferred the $800. He accepted it almost instantly. A voice message popped up. I pressed play, and his signature, slightly greasy laugh filled the air. "Brian, you're always so prompt. A great tenant, a model tenant." His over-the-top praise felt like a bone tossed to a dog, cheap and condescending. I didn't reply. A heavy feeling settled in my chest, making it hard to breathe. A moment later, another message came through. "So, Brian, where do you work? Spending money like that, you must be doing pretty well for yourself, huh?" The screen's glow illuminated my face. I could almost see his greedy expression, poking and prying from the other side of the network. I typed back calmly, "Just a small company. Enough to get by." He didn't push further, sending back a sticker that said, "Keep it up, kid. You've got a bright future," and ending the conversation. I put down my phone and walked to the window. The night was thick, the city lights blurring into a distant halo. An unnameable frustration churned inside me. I turned, opened a drawer, and pulled out a folder from the very bottom. Inside was the lease I'd signed 3 years ago, along with a supplementary agreement. I slid out the agreement, its paper now slightly yellowed, and my eyes fell on one particular clause. Any permanent fixtures installed by the tenant during the lease period may be removed by the tenant upon departure, or sold to the landlord at a negotiated price. The landlord may not prevent their removal without due cause. It was a clause I had specifically requested back then. At the time, it felt like a simple precaution. Now, it seemed like it might have been the smartest thing I'd ever done. I carefully placed the agreement back in the folder. The churning in my gut strangely began to subside. The next day was Monday. The morning subway was packed like a can of sardines. As I was jostled by the crowd, my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was Mr. Finch. I swiped the screen, and a text message appeared.
Click the link in my bio to get the full story for free.